Mm. Ooh, whoa. I am here live and in person. I'm here live. Well, now I'm just, for the most part, just kind of hanging loose here right now because, see, I've been listening to some talk shows since I have been uh, put on hiatus for a little while, and I'm telling you, some of the things that come across the airways in the daytime is absolutely intellectually draining. Okay. But that's what happens. I mean, that's what happens when the smartest guy on radio is not there anymore. I'm just saying. We need to take care of that, handle that business. Okay, that's what we need to do. We need to handle that business. First of all, good afternoon, everybody. I'm really saying good afternoon because today, I was listening to my good friends Joey over there on that other radio station over there, and a lot of people whining about white water. They whine, they whine, they whine because a lot of people in this city, the only thing they want to talk about is black and white stuff. What happened in 1962, what happened in 1963, and things of that nature. We want to talk about those things, and I think it's time we get away from some of those things. Don't forget them because, like in Timothy, um, the past is important, but it is not the only important thing that we have to go on. All we can do with the past is remember it. Can't change it, can't undo it, can't redirect it. It's gone. But what we do have a lot to do with is the future and how we go into that future. I mean, they were on Doug Singleton today, like right on. Well, only one guy was on a really, really bad, but a lot of people whining about it. So, what would you have Montgomery bring into town? We got enough. We have enough things that remind us of slavery, of segregation. Every year we have this thing about we down in Selma. We celebrate the Confederates losing. We have that going on. We have a thing downtown where we shall we say we celebrate Black Lives Matter, except everybody but black folks seems sometimes. Um, so we have all these things. Can we finally can we finally bring something into this town that celebrates us as a people? Can we please get off color? Everything would be EJI. Hey, listen, wonderful job. Went down there. Took me 2 years to be able to go down to the EJI Memorial. I didn't want to go down there. I didn't want to be reminded all the time of what happened years ago. I just didn't want to be reminded of that. But finally, I went down there, and I'm going to give some props to Mr. Stevenson because it was done in a classy, uh, 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 it was done in a good way, in a good way. So, but EGI, okay, I got enough learning about the past. How do we feel? How do we feel? What are we going to do about tomorrow? If it should come. What are we gonna do about it? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna teach our kids more about what's possible for tomorrow than what happened yesterday? And what happened yesterday, don't get me wrong. What happened yesterday is wrong. A lot of it is wrong. But a lot of right things happened too. You know, do you realize in 1929, the US Patent Office said that they were going to close that office because everything that was going to be invented has already been invented. Now, if we had to close the patent office down then, we wouldn't have computers, we wouldn't have cars, pretty much. We wouldn't have motorcycles. We wouldn't have AI. We wouldn't have. I mean, there's a lot of things that we wouldn't have. We wouldn't have electric stoves and things of that nature because they said the few people decided that nothing else that's worth inventing had been will be. It's already been invented. So they was going to actually close the patent office down because of that. What am I trying to explain to you? Nobody knows the future. We know the past, but we don't really know the future. We don't know what's going to happen, who it's going to happen to. But all I know one thing: you can't live our lives in the past. And we got people in this town, like many towns in the South, who are making so much money off misery of the past. Seriously, we got people who are actually making money, keep this hate, the hatred and everything alive. They making money. I mean, I don't understand that crazy. I don't understand that crazy thing they do down there at the in Selma every year. We celebrate losing. Hey, you lost. Get over it. Move on. Um, the other day, we had a Confederate Memorial Day, as if as if all the lives that were lost were insignificant. Okay, so now we got to have two of them. Well, I hate to tell y'all this, but in the graveyard, everybody's the same. So why we do that, and so we further. I don't know why the governor doesn't. We Memorial Day is Memorial Day for everybody, which regardless of what side you're on. Even then, now Clint Eastwood put a picture out a couple of years ago. Says "Letters from Home." And it was about the perspective of the Second World War as it was told by the Japanese. And so everybody was fighting for what they believed to be right. So I don't know why, and obviously some of us right, some of us wrong. But the only person that's right in a war is the guy who won. Is the one who won. He's the one that's right in a war. So I'm just thinking, every day somebody complains around here. We complain about who the mayor is. Then we put another one in there. And guess what we do 2 days after it gets in there? We start complaining. We complain about the city council. Now, rather than you run and come up with some great ideas, uh, which you can't seem to do that, uh, you complain about the guy that won. you know, so what do we? What's your ideas? What are some of you people's ideas out there about what to do about the things you think we need to do something about? Okay, really, crime is a problem. Crime is a problem, but crime is a symptom of a problem. And of course, that problem is that we don't believe in discipline in our homes that much anymore. We don't believe in discipline in schools anymore. We got too many women on the board, but we're going to talk about that. And we'll talk about that another time. So, what should we do about it? Because everybody has got a complaint. There were three guys going across a pond one day, and Jesus was walking on water. And somebody in the boat said, "Well, how come he can't get in the boat like us?" That's right. That's right. That's right. You know how ludicrous that is? Man's walking on water, but you're complaining that he won't get in the boat with you. But you should be doing say, how do I get to walk on water? So how do we what are we gonna do? That's why I came on this afternoon. So what are some of your suggestions that we should do? Honestly, first of all, you can contain crime if parents were held were held responsible for what their teenagers do. Those below the age of 18. If they were held responsible and it could be proven that you did not do your due diligence to make sure this child was properly supervised and properly disciplined. That don't mean beat the hell out of your kids. Now, black folks back in the day think that disciplining mean beat the hell out you. I don't even go that way. Hitting you with sticks and bricks and calling you all kind of names. I mean, I see it all in the public now. I mean, I can understand why some of these kids act crazy because their parents are crazy. I can live with that. But what do we do about it? We got crime, okay? Got crime. Um, the mayor's. I'm going to give a little bit of this responsibility of crime to the mayor. Not very much, but a little, because he doesn't want to punish the small crimes, this panhandling stuff, and all this stuff that goes on in the street. Um, and if in fact you go out in the street and you panhandle on the main thoroughfares through Montgomery, it is against the law. Now I realize that the police have more to do than catch a guy who's sitting there with a can talking about give me some money. Okay, I hear you. I hear. But if we did it enough, people wouldn't be on the street begging, because once you allow that to go, then you're going to allow other things to go unpunished, no consequence. And if you don't give people consequences for their actions, then they'll continue to do those actions. Am I correct in my thinking there? I think I am. So what do we do? I'm looking for some suggestions. Everybody's got a suggestion. So what is it? What should the mayor do about crime? Well, first of all, he should. If it's a law, it's a law, and we need to pursue it. If we can stop the little crimes, we'll stop the big crimes. We at least we won't get as many people doing big crimes as little crimes. So what do we do? Come on, what's your answer? What is our answer? I heard Don whining about Whitewater. Well, don't you guys think that it's finally time to bring somebody to Montgomery rather than talk about what happened in 1962 and 63 and 73? I mean, don't we? We're not the same. These are not the same people here. Let's say I'm 68. So I say people, maybe there may be some people my age who are still a little bit crazy and a little bit, a little bit got a little bit of specialness to them because of the past. But anybody, Dr. Richard Bailey, had him on my show one day, and he said that they did a study at Vanderbilt University. I believe that's where he said it was, one of these universities. And they proved that people 50 years and below, and that was back then, but I'll go along with them. People 50 years and younger don't really think about race. But every day, somebody in this town uh, brings it up as a badge of honor. Okay. So, so to the people who whine about Whitewater, what would you want to? What else? What else would you want them to bring to the city? What else would you want them to bring? What do you want to bring? I mean, tell me what we're going to bring. If not Whitewater, what else? Another slave monument? I got no problem with what the EJI is doing. But what else do we bring here? I'm waiting. Oh, the numbers are right at the thing right there. So you're welcome to. You are welcome to. Let me see. I got to get my number here so somebody can call because I really want to hear uh, what what is the big deal. Okay, I'm wondering. Let me see if I can get this right here. Okay, yeah, I can get that one. Okay, so we got that one. Okay, so now people can actually call. I forgot to put the phone line in, but listen, give me a call. What do you think that what do we need to what do we need to do to bring something to bring something here to this city that doesn't have to anything to do with race in the past? Really, what should we need to? I mean, the wine. I've never lived in a city where this much whining is going on when people are trying to make it better. At least I'm thinking that's what we're trying to do. So, what's the? Anybody got any ideas of what to do? Really, seriously, I'm waiting for it because one thing about this city, I've been here 34 years. Emmanuel's 34 years old, I never meet anything where there's never anybody fully uh, happy with the way things are. And I don't blame you. You shouldn't be content with things if they're bad. But my lord, we complain about everything, everything. So why is that? Anybody got an answer for that? I mean, why is that? I'm waiting. Just call me. Let's talk about it because we're going to spend our lives complaining and not do anything. Honestly, and not do anything. Um, you got any suggestion? And then all the suggestions. Say, I'm gonna take your suggestions and give your suggestions to Doug Singleton and the mayor. They're gonna let them look at this. See, so rather than whining about, I was at a meeting Saturday and we were talking about the city and how it is a good city. Yeah, and I've lived in some rotten cities. I lived in this city longer than I like this city better than I do my own hometown of South Bend, Indiana. Because I haven't lived there since 1974, but wasn't too crazy about it then either. So, what is it that you would do? What do you think we need to bring to Montgomery to make us a better city? What do you think? Because no matter who the mayor is, whether it's Stephen Reed, Bobby Bright, Todd Strange, Emery Farmer, whether it's either one of those guys, we're gonna complain. Okay, we pay people $59,000 a year to represent us downtown, and representation is probably one thing they don't do. Okay, have any of you ever got a letter from your representative? Really, anybody ever got a letter from your representative? Um, about anything that they want to do? No, you haven't. No, I never got one either. Anybody got a letter from Hatcher? Anybody got a letter from who's the other senator from Montgomery State Senator Hatcher and Barefoot? Anybody got a letter? Anybody got a letter in the mail? Say, hey, this is what we're thinking. Do either one of them have a website where you can go to and reach out to them and send them a email? No, no. I think all of our city councilmen should have a website somewhere we can go leave messages and so they can see what we think and all that kind of thing. But I don't think they do. They got Facebook page. There's a difference between Facebook page and a website. Okay, Facebook page is a free one. Okay, we complained about the police chief until we got another one, and then now I will admit to you, haven't heard many complaints about this police chief that we actually got in now. What's his name, Boulay or something like that, whatever his name is. Um, I know it's one of them. Sound like one of those southern names. Those Louisiana names. I don't know what name, but he's downtown, and he seems to be doing. He seems to be efficient, if nothing else. Okay. So I'm just trying to say, so I got on this air because I want you guys to tell me what it is that you think that we ought to do. What we should bring. We don't need another statue of white people doing black folks wrong. I think we got the history of that. We know that. We know that happened. Okay. So what we need to do now, because let me tell you what we miss out of that equation. What we miss out of that equation is all the people that work together so to get us where we are. See, we just don't. We always, and listen. It always sparks a good conversation when you bring up the past. It always brings it up. And boy, put a little black in there, put a little white in there, and boy, you can talk all day. But at the end of that conversation, what did we accomplish? I believe that there are people in this city who just like bringing up the past because it gives them something to talk about. So again, I asked my people here, what is it that you think we should do to make this a better place? I think the numbers don't the numbers work. I think the numbers work. Yeah, I think they work. Y'all can call me on the phone. We'll talk about it. Okay, so I'm waiting. I know. I know. Yeah, I know. I feel you. I feel you on that one. But anyway, I was listening to somebody talk about Whitewater, and all they do is whine, 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 whine. I mean, that's all we do. Is just talk about how bad things are, and my lord, mm-mm, mm-mm, mm. So I'm not a Southerner, but I'm a product of the South. My mother was from Mississippi, which is probably without a doubt one of the worst places for black folks back in the old days. She was born in the 30s. My father's from Georgia, and in a little town called Rome. So I'm a product of the South, whether or not I have lived there my whole life or not. I've lived here half my life. Okay, I have lived here since I was 33 years old. So I've lived here half my life in Montgomery, Alabama. And I tell you something, I lived in Honolulu. Honolulu, Paradise Island. And guess what? If you were to get on a plane right now and head to Honolulu, you wouldn't be able to get off the plane enough till you hear somebody complain about Honolulu. Yeah. Hmm. Paradise Island. Yeah, somebody's complaining. Somebody, and then I would come back from Honolulu to Seattle, just to hang out. And guess what I heard? Man, Seattle sucks. Okay, right on. It sucks. Well, you go back to Honolulu. Man, Honolulu sucks. So I learned the hard way. It isn't where you live; it's how you live, and it's the things that you value where you live. So no matter where you go, no matter what city you go to, I guarantee you. As a matter of fact, I tell you what, just to prove my point, I need somebody to send me a number to any place in Mississippi. I'm going to call them. I've only been to Mississippi in 1965. I haven't been there since then. And I can call anybody on the phone in Mississippi, and I guarantee you they'll be complaining. Okay. Yeah, yeah, they'll be complaining. So somebody just send me a number, and I will call somebody in Mississippi right now and guarantee you that they're complaining too. Uh, uh, Matter of fact, hold it. Hold it. I'm gonna call my sister. Now check this out. I'm gonna call my sister in South Bend, Indiana. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna just to show you, just to prove my point, because people always complaining, no matter where you are. So I'm gonna call my sister right now and tell you and show you that I'm right. See, Y-E T-T. Well, I think I'm gonna call my sister anyway. Okay. Let me see. Well, I can't find a number, but if I did find a number, I'll let you know. Somebody send me a number because I'm going to call in. Give me a number to any state, any city, Prattville, Montgomery. Somebody's complaining in Prattville about Montgomery. Okay, someone's always complaining. Okay, let me see here. Let me see. See, just to prove my point. Okay, just to prove my point, we always whining and whining and whining, and it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference where you are. Okay, doesn't make any difference where you are. Somebody is going to complain no matter where you are. Now, let me see if I can find somebody. Let me see now. I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody on my list here from out of state, but I wish I did because if I did, I'd just give them a call right now. Okay, well, I'll try that next time. Somebody send me a number just to prove my point. It doesn't make any difference where you live. Somebody's complaining. Makes no difference where they live. Somebody is complaining. It just doesn't matter. Okay. And all them people whining about, well, it ain't making us no money. Well, the police department don't make us any money either. Should we get rid of them? The fire department don't make money either. Should we get rid of them? But do they provide a service? Absolutely. Do they provide a service? Absolutely. So I'm just thinking. Oh, let me see now. Uh, wow, my good friend. Well, okay, I can't find it. Nobody can send me a number. Can you? Somebody, where's my sister at? I know she's at home. I know she's probably whining about South Bend. But no matter where you go, oh, I know what I do. Okay, here it is. Somebody out there who is from because we got people. I mean, I got people listening all over from Washington State to Louisiana. So there are people up there that follow us. So I just want to prove my point. Okay, I just want to prove my point that no matter what you do, no matter where you go, okay, somebody is going to whine and whine and whine. Okay, I'm just telling you that's just the way it goes. Okay, so I was perturbed by what I heard today from people, and I just thought it was crazy. Um, Always whining uh, about the park, the whitewater thing. Which I'm now I'm not a whitewater person. I mean I and listen you talking to a guy who's been on aircraft carriers and I was a galley chief on a boat at Pearl Harbor, at Fort Island. Actually, I was the galley chief on that, and I still didn't like water, but I love looking at it. I love looking at the water. I like the serenity that you get from it. Hey, matter of fact, where Jerry, give me a call. Let's talk about this for a second. See if I'm right. Okay. So let me see now. Let's see if I can get Jerry, my good friend Jerry Blevins. Okay, Jerry. Let me see here. Uh, our number here is 334. What is my number here? 521 521 2963. Okay, 2963. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's what. So Jerry, you just give me a call, man. Give me a call and let us let me prove my point here about Montgomery and people. Jerry, thanks Jerry for tuning in. And I didn't tell nobody I was coming on because I keep forgetting to do that. But this is a conversation we need to have. It really is. Wine, wine, wine. Okay. Maybe I should call Jerry. Let me see if I can find his numbers right here. Let me see. Oh yeah, there he is right there. Okay. There you go. Okay.
Hi, you've reached the law office of Jerry Blevins. I'm not in at the moment.
Call from Jerry Blevins. To accept, press 1.
Jerry.
Mr. Kevin, I think this is the largest audience I've had thus far now.
Well,
hey, you got to start somewhere and work your way up.
Yeah, we getting there because I never tell people I'm going to come on anyway. I do it at the spur of the moment. But starting next week, I'm going to do it every day. But have you heard any of the things I've said about the complaining and about the no matter where you live, there's somebody complaining about where they at and all and we whining about Montgomery because we brought the whitewater thing here, but we got enough slave things here, don't we?
Well, the last thing Montgomery needed was something like a water park.
And why is that?
Montgomery needs law enforcement. Montgomery needs paved roads. Montgomery needs basic infrastructure, addressed before you start bringing in play items.
But aren't these amenities? I mean, we don't necessarily need dessert on our plate, but I often remember that even when you have the main courses of the meal, we still want some dessert. So do we just want to? What about the older people who have made their livings, who worked their tail off their whole life, or whatever the case may be? Don't they need a place to relax and just do nothing?
They do, but they first need a place to be safe, a place to be able to drive around without running into potholes, a place where you're going to the grocery store and getting robbed and raped.
Okay.
If you don't have your basics in place, the little comfort items are somewhat insignificant because people are scared to get out and use them.
Mm-hmm. But we're not the only city, though. We're not the only city that has those problems.
No, it's just Montgomery is becoming and probably going to become the murder capital of the country, where it's headed. But yeah, every location has some issues. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate that the capital of our state has turned into a crime fest with no leadership at any level.
So what would you suggest if you're talking to the mayor right now or the leadership of this city right now? What would be your quick fix?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one, Kevin. That's because it's like, I'll give you an analogy. If you're driving down the road, you run your car in the ditch, and somebody asks you what's the easiest way to get the car out of the ditch. Well, the easiest thing to do is not get it in the ditch to begin with. So the question now is, how do you save Montgomery from being in the ditch? Is there any way to get it out? And I tell you what, it's going to take a minor or mid-level miracle to stop the things that have gone into motion. You can look at cities around the country, Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta. Once you reach a certain level and things get so far out of whack, they're almost impossible a lot of times to bring them back into check.
And you really believe that has a lot to do with the leadership of the city, or is that just a paradigm shift into to and so, now I don't want to step on your toes here, but half our problems that we have in this country right now have been brought on by lawsuits.
Well, lawsuits don't make people stab people, shoot people, kill people. No, let's go back in time just a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm not saying I personally, endorse things from the past, but let's go back. You may remember a fellow by the name of Emery Fulmer.
Yeah. I like
Right?
you some memory.
Back Emery Fulmer day, there was police out patrolling. There was police policing crime. There was law and order. And when Fulmer left office, Montgomery started on a downhill trajectory and has never stopped since.
Hmm. Well, that's true too. But a lot of these things have a lot. Let's just take our police officers for instance. Every time a police officer wants to stop somebody or something happens, then we want to sue the policeman. And now most of them, hell, they'll just ride right by you unless they see you in the act of a crime. Y'all beating each other up on the sidewalk. Well, don't nobody care. I mean,
Well, that's that,
lawyers, you guys have had something to do with the state that we are in when it comes to response to things.
I'm gonna differ with you, Kevin.
Of course, you're going to differ with me.
Listen, lawyers have been around doing what they do for decades.
Mhm.
Lawyers were around and suing the police during Emery Fulmer's day. He would go into court and say the police are going to do what they need to do. Period. He didn't shy away from lawsuits,
Mhm.
primarily because he had a tight grip on the police and they did what they were supposed to do.
Right.
These days, unfortunately, you see daily police officers getting arrested for engaging in criminal conduct
Mhm.
around the state, in Montgomery as well. It's unfortunate that everybody I speak to in Montgomery, when I talk to them about the police, it is across the board. Everybody agrees when you call the police, they don't show up.
Well, it doesn't I think now? I mean, they're all getting paid, so I think they want to do their job. But I mean, it's not their fault that they're short of people, I guess.
They're short of leadership.
Hmm.
You
We
know
got a
that.
new leader now.
Well, they keep changing leaders, just like with the school. Let's keep changing the leader of the school. Let's keep changing the leader of the chief of police. Let's occasionally change the mayor. Changing you go from bad to worse and worse to bad, bad to worse. You keep going back and forth like that.
Hmm.
You're not fixing things. You're just passing the buck.
Mm. Well, I think everybody uh, has an example. So your whole thing though is about leadership.
Definitely. You know that, military man.
Well, I do, but civilian military, you have a captive audience, and you can't just say no. I'm not going to do that. I mean, whereas out here in the civilian world, you have to get people to want to be on the same accord, and you got the politics of it all. I just think what. Let me ask you. You in the mayor's office right now. You're talking to him. What would you tell him?
To resign.
Okay.
I mean, honestly,
Does Jerry
you
think
you
Jerry
you
can do a better
you
job?
can't make well, yeah. I think anybody who's seriously trying to do a good job could do a better job. You can't tell me a person's performance is judged by the job they do. All anybody with a rational mind needs to do is drive through Montgomery, and anybody in their right mind will go in there and tell them to resign.
Mm-hmm.
His performance speaks for his capabilities, and that's true in all walks of life. If you have a doctor that can't operate on you properly, you get rid of them, you get one that can. If you have an attorney that doesn't know, you do the same thing in all professions. The buck, excuse me, the buck stops with the mayor. If the city's shot, the mayor's got to go.
Has Montgomery ever been in a worse situation than we are now?
No.
I mean, back in the 70s, now they had about 70 people killed one year.
Yeah, but that's, I've been, just so all of our listeners know, I've been in Montgomery since, I guess, 1975, and left there about 20 years ago when it started on its downward fall. Montgomery was once a nice place where people wanted to come and stay until the mass exodus began, 15, 20 years ago. And I was in Montgomery today, went driving around to see what it was looking like out to Wind Lakes, all the upper level areas from the past, and it's just pitiful. Eastdale Mall, Montgomery Mall, Wind Lakes, everywhere is just pitiful.
Well, let me ask you. Now, I must admit, I ride around this city quite a bit. I don't see the despair. I mean, listen, I don't see all this despair. I go to East Chase. I go to even down the street on Atlanta Highway, the Eastdale Mall. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. So where's the despair at?
It's you've gotten immune to it.
Oh, really?
And I understand, because I lived there for a while, and you go to Vaughn Road Park. I drove by that today. It looked hideous. Nobody's maintaining the landscaping or anything. But you can get immune to something and miss the forest for the trees if you're living in it, which is what happens a lot. I moved to Wetumpka, and this, and lived there for 15 years or so. There are issues there too, but the whole area as a whole isn't collapsing around everybody like Montgomery is.
Well, Jerry, I think your opinion is a little bit weighted out of how would they say it in court? I think you're a little bit prejudicial.
No, man. Look, Montgomery's my hometown. You know how tough it was for me to leave. Let me tell you this so you'll know how biased I am. I went to junior high school, Capitol Heights, high school, Robert E. Lee, college, AUM, law school, Jones School of Law, back to AUM.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Montgomery. I didn't want to leave Montgomery. Every once in a while, I look to see if I can return to Montgomery. No way in the world.
But I know. But listen. That view is not that view though. You got it now. Be honest, intellectually honest with me here. You are somewhat prejudicial because you're not happy with the leadership.
No. But hey, I don't care. Who the leader is if things are in proper order. More power to the leader, whoever it is.
And so, on the last 20 years or so, who's been the best mayor?
Well, I'm going to say this about my what I'll say is my colleague and friend / acquaintance, and it's not derogatory. It's just what happened. The city of Montgomery started a decline when my friend Bobby Bright was elected mayor. And it started down the wrong path then, and it's gotten worse. Who was before? Was Bright before Reed?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
Bright was before. No, Bright was before Mayor Strange.
That's right. It was Todd Strange. Yeah, it was Fulmer, Bobby Bright, Todd Strange, and now Reed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Todd Strange, I think, tried to properly deal with things, but I think they had already started on the wrong path with Bobby, and he couldn't really reverse them at that point. Now with Reed, it just fell off the cliff.
Okay, but just to be fair, because I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, but just to be fair, you don't really. He's not your favorite cornflake, is he?
Oh no, I mean, I don't know. You know, I know his father, Joe Reed.
Right.
I don't know his, what's his Stephen and his brother. I can't think of his brother name. The Joe Jr.
Mm-hmm.
you know, I mean, I know who they are, but I don't know them. I mean, I don't know them well enough to like them, dislike them,
Mm-hmm.
or anything. My commentary is purely on the
So,
condition of the city.
let me ask your suggestion to the mayor is resign rather than you come back, live here, and help him out.
You can't help them out. Not with the direction the city is headed. You can't help out. I mean, look at the riverboat fight down there a few months back.
Well, that's a
I mean,
couple
that's
years
what
back
you're
now.
breeding.
That's a couple
Was it a
years.
couple of years?
Yeah.
That time flies. But it's stuff. If you create an environment where that kind of stuff can exist, then that's what you're going to get.
Mm. Well, okay. Well, if Jerry had a meeting with the mayor tomorrow, he would just tell him to resign.
Well, I might ask him, how does he grade himself? Let's drive around the city, and you tell me what grade you give yourself.
Mm.
And if he's honest, what grade would he give, Kevin?
Let me ask you, if Jerry Blevins was the mayor of the city of Montgomery, you think anybody would be complaining about you?
Probably for having too much order, too much safety, too much family-oriented things. But no, if Blevins was mayor,
Mm-hmm.
if the funds are there, it would become in a short term a police city. There would be a lockdown. There would be zero tolerance for crime, and the criminal element would quickly leave the city of Montgomery and head over to Atlanta or wherever else they find pleasing. Until you crack down on crime and you get all of the criminal elements out of the city,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to begin to make progress on anything else.
Mm. Well, Jerry, as usual, it is always good. See, one thing I like about the podcast thing here, I don't have to rush you off the phone. You can put it out there. Do you mind if I give the mayor your suggestion?
Hey, feel free. I won't say anything someplace public. I won't say somewhere else. So feel free.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, listen. When you move back to Montgomery?
Hey, as soon as it gets in order.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how long that takes. Anyway, thanks a lot. Attorney at law, Jerry Blevins, who lives up there in the great metropolis of Birmingham, someplace like they ain't got problems up there. They do, don't they?
Well, I'm not in Birmingham now. I'm in Hoover.
Same
But
thing.
we're near Birmingham.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, there's a lot. If Birmingham is going to be equal to Montgomery here before long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate it, Jerry. Appreciate it. If I'm ever in
Good.
Hoover, if I'm ever in Hoover and I get stopped by the police up there because they think I'm finna do something wrong because I happen to be a darker shade, I'll call you.
Give me a ring. Good talking to you.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right.
Well. I don't know. I just think there's prejudicial treatment of the current mayor. And listen, philosophically, him and I are just opposed to, but you gotta give credit where credit is due. I mean, we're not all that bad. Economically, at least I don't think so. Now I've heard different things that we're not as financially sound as they say we are, but I don't know. I don't have the books or anything like that. So that is somebody else that's saying that. I don't know. But anyway, so okay, so Jared's suggestion, Mr. Mayor, you resign. Anybody else got any more suggestions? But it doesn't make any difference who has the job. It doesn't make any difference who has the job because whoever gets the job, we're going to complain about it. I mean, whoever gets the job, we are going to complain about them. Does everybody agree with that? If I could find it again, I can call any city in America, okay, and somebody would be complaining. Okay. Now I'm not out of desperate. As a matter of fact, now Jerry said something about the murder capital of the world. Well, I think we're a long way from that, brother, because the murder capital of the country right now is St. Louis, Missouri. It's considered right now the capital city. It's the murder capital of the United States with the highest homicide rate in the country. Other cities with high murder rates include Baltimore, New Orleans, and Memphis. So we're a long way from reaching that plateau. It's tough out there for everybody. I will admit to you, I think when Democrats get in office, I do believe that murders and things go up. I do believe that because people feel as though everybody owes them something, and I do believe we have, from a societal standpoint, I think the Democrat platform is not good for um, the American people. I just don't believe that. I mean, of course, when you broadcast that it's okay to kill your children, then what makes you think that they care about your life? I mean, really, what a group of people who think in order to be hired by the public that you have to agree with murdering your child, your unborn child, if they don't care about the unborn, I just think somehow that that trait becomes systemic in our culture. Oh, hey, listen, I'm going to lunch at McDonald's. I'll be getting an abortion at 2 o'clock. By 3 o'clock, I'll be back. Wow, so nonchalantly. But anyway, that's just one of those things, I guess. But again, if people don't care about their unborn, how are they going to care about you? The most helpless human beings on earth are unborn children. How do you think about it? How do you beat that? How do you even think that people who think like that care about you? I mean, really? And you wonder why we live in a nation right now where and we certainly now I'm gonna tick some people off. I understand it, but we certainly need to do something about this gun violence. And I don't think it is a good idea um, to let everybody walk around with a gun. I just there's something wrong with that. Okay, there's something terribly wrong with that. And so rather than fix a problem, we added to it. The governor, the House of Representatives, they're not responsible for idiots walking around with guns. But we got to do something about that. I don't know what it's going to be. Yeah, you can wear your gun. You can have your gun. You can have your gun. Yeah, at your house. But carrying weapons open in the street, it is not a great thing to do, and we do that. I know all you gun toting summer guns out there. I know I don't take my gun, but I do believe, and if our city council, if for some reason, if they had the gonads, then there's no reason in the world why we can't make you have an ID if you're going to carry an open gun in the city of Montgomery. We need to be able to identify who you are, and our city council can't seem to get that done. They seem to be scared of what's going to happen with the mayors or what the SPLC is going to do. Again, there's always ways around this. Okay, but if you are in the contiguous, are you within the contiguous border of the city of Montgomery? I do believe that you ought to have ID on you so we can ID you. It's got nothing to do with you carrying your gun. But if you're going to carry one, now think about this: a car. We drive down the street in cars, which we could kill somebody. What must we have in order to drive that car? We must have a driver's license. We must have a way for people to identify you if, in fact, you're in an accident and, God forbid, you kill yourself or you kill somebody else. Now, our lawyers just must not be that smart anymore. I mean, how in the world can you be scared of making people have ID? And we can do one other thing. You can have the gun, but we're gonna do like Trump does. We're gonna put a 200 tariff on each bullet that you buy. So if you don't have a whole lot of money, you can't buy a whole lot of bullets. Now that if I'm on the city council, I'm fighting for that. Okay, a city tariff to pay for all the unnecessary medical expenses that our young folks are bringing upon this community by the violence, the senseless violence they use with guns. So you need to put 100% tariff on a bullet, not the box of bullet, on each bullet. Okay, yeah, I'm all for that. Yeah, I'm all for that. So there are things we can do, and if they want to take us to court, let them take us to court. But why? But by the time we get into court, we can still have it implemented, and let's go to court. Okay, and if we cannot find a lawyer that can beat that can help us in this, then University of Alabama, Auburn, Jones Law School, y'all need to shut down because logic and reason. Okay, again, the First Amendment doesn't say you have to have ammunition. It says you can have a weapon, and we all good about weapons. We good about them. I'm good about weapons, but again, you cannot tell me it's more important to have ID to drive your car than it is if you're walking around town with a Mac 10. You can't. You'll never convince me that a guy in a car is more dangerous than a guy walking around with a Mac 10 going down the street, Norman Bridge Road. You can't tell me that. That dog ain't gonna hunt. Okay, so all of our city council people need to get off their jacks and get this thing passed. And I don't care what Marshall says. Okay, take it all the way to the Supreme Court. But you cannot tell me that if you're walking around here with a weapon that we don't need to identify you. What if you are a person that is a felon and not even supposed to have a weapon? So you tell me, and the reason why they don't want felons to have weapons, which I think, except in your house, I do believe you're a felon, whether you're a felon or not, you have a right to have a weapon inside your house to protect your family and yourself. I don't have a problem with that. But walking around the city of Montgomery with guns open and we don't know who you are, we ought to be able to know who you are. I mean, you want to talk about some of the things that'll make a difference. You tell somebody, hey, listen, and I just think that I just got on the phone with Jerry Blevins, and Jerry, a good lawyer, but these guys don't want to. They don't want to really want to get
Marty, Marion, Brock.
Let me do this. Marion.
Hey, Kevin, how's it going?
Pretty good. What's up?
Hey, just to make a comment on your topic, which I think is a very good topic. I was trying to argue that topic maybe 5 or 6, 7 years ago, and it is because they will, before they recognize, when you're going out there to vote, they would accept a weapons permit a lot quicker than they will accept a college ID card. And in order to get in certain colleges, really all colleges, you got to have a Social Security number, a Social Security card. You have to have some type of identifier. You even have to have a birth certificate in order to go to college. Mm. But yet they would be willing to accept a weapons permit, to vote rather than a student ID card. So I've always had an issue with that, and I could never understand that.
Well, I thought they want to have the STAR card, the STAR ID now.
Well, this was before the STAR ID.
Right.
Like I said, 6 or 7 years ago when we were arguing the point, where I'm thinking they were just trying to disenfranchise college voters because they tend to vote, maybe Democrat or, anything other than Republican. So especially in Texas, as well as in some of your other Western and Southern states, they chose not to honor a student's ID, but they would rather honor a weapons permit or a weapons card. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I found that to be a little interesting.
Well, and again, I don't know which one's more important than the other. I mean, if you're gonna carry, chances are, if you got a weapons card, you have undergone some sort of investigation. Would you agree with that?
No, you got some states, man, that would tell you, they feel as though you're invading some people's privacy. What a weapons card would in some states. Now you don't need a weapons card.
Well, you don't need to carry. You don't need to carry one concealed. Well, I guess you don't.
No,
I guess.
No, you don't. Exactly. You don't need one now. and still they would not accept a student ID card, which, you have to go through some type of process in order to be accepted as a student, because, you need a birth certificate, you need a social security number, especially if you're getting federal aid, you need income tax, proof of income tax, all that stuff is involved. So, I mean, you can't be any more thorough investigated than that. So that was the issue I had. But now, you need the STAR card to even be able to travel.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a great subject matter, Kevin, because people, when you get ready to go get that STAR card, I don't know if people know or realize, you need a passport or either a social security card and a birth certificate
Or
proof of
military ID.
residence,
Yeah.
or military ID. And also, you need any of those, which I can understand. That makes sense. I mean, if you're going to do it, I have my theory on why they're doing that, but that's fine. You comply. I have no problems with complying with that.
Let me ask you. I see all these videos where people, when the police stop people, they say, "What crime have I committed?" Do the police have an arbitrary right to make you get out of your car?
No, unless they can articulate. That's the thing, man. You can convict a baloney sandwich. Let's say, for example, Kevin, if you smell something in the car, that smells like weed, and I mean, it's just loud and profound, or if you see a roach in the ashtray, or if you see a knife on the seat of the vehicle, or if you just happen to see a handgun, so it's something that could be used as a weapon, you as an officer can articulate, well, for my safety and for that person's safety, we asked them to step out the car so we could talk with them, because it appears that they, have something that could be of danger to themselves and also to me as an officer. So you have that discretion, but you would have to be able to articulate that to do it. You just can't have them to step out the car because you suspect something, and that's what gets them. Because check this out, Kevin, if they go and they search your car without permission and they find something, they can't use it to convict you, only because they did not first have a warrant or any type of justification to actually do that. It's what you would call fruits of a poisonous tree, especially if you're telling them, well, I'm stopping you for a busted headlight or your tag is outdated or whatever the case is. Well, then cite them for that. But if you say, well, I went to go search their car, but you didn't give them permission to do it, especially if they're going in your trunk. So an officer just has to be able to articulate why.
Right. So let me ask, if the police stop me and they said, well, do you mind if we take a look in your car? If you say no, does that give them a probable cause to call the dog and sniff your car?
No, they would have to honor that. They would have to honor that. If they would have to honor that you said no, especially if they can't tell you why they're stopping you.
And that's another thing. The police, when they stop you on a traffic stop, is a traffic stop different from any other stop? Do they have to tell you immediately why they stop you?
Yeah. They, out of courtesy, you will. Yeah, you do. I've done it several times. One, something as simple as, you could have been reaching for a cell phone, but you kind of crossed the center line. But if you did it more than once, they could pull you over saying, I'm doing a health and wellness check, because it appears that you're, I forgot the word we used to use, but, disarranged, whatever, suspected of probably, you're having issues. Either it could be that you're drunk or maybe you're on certain kind of medication, but we're doing a health and wellness check. It's all about how they word it. But they could pull you over, but they would need to tell you, because you would ask them, say, officer, normally they would come up and ask you, they say, you ran a red light, or you're speeding beyond the speed limit. But if they don't ask you, then you can ask them, officer, is there an issue? What have I done wrong? If they reply back, well, we don't have to tell you what you've done wrong, or what have you, that's a lightning rod there. You have a right to challenge that, but it's not the challenging part, it's how you do it. You could ask, well, officer, could you call, your supervisor?
And when you ask for the supervisor, do they have to get a supervisor?
Well, I don't know what the policy is now, Kevin. I used to be I was in law enforcement many, many years ago. Their policies may have changed. But out of courtesy, if you have some that feels, secure why they're stopping, you got some that would actually do it. I don't know if they have to or not, but I know back in the day, we darn sure better have a good reason of stopping them. See, back in my day, Kevin, we didn't have GPS systems on the car or tracking systems on our patrol cars or what we were doing. Now you have cameras and you have GPS systems. Officers are going to be extra careful now, but back in my day, we didn't have computers in the cars.
Mm-hmm.
We might have had a radar detector, but we didn't have computers in the car. You can go out there and do whatever, whenever, and it'll just be your word against the offender or the person, that's in the car that you pulled over. But see, now they have technology to the point where if you get out on a vehicle, meaning that if you stop it, they can go back and investigate when and how long were you out with that vehicle, why you were out with that vehicle. And I'm gonna tell you another thing too, Kevin. When I used to cite people, man, we used to cite people using handwritten tickets. Now they just go on a computer and print one out after they do it on a computer, so that stuff is tracked. And let's say this, Kevin, they tell you, okay, well, I'm pulling you over because you ran a stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
But then in searching your vehicle, they find XYZ, but they don't cite you, meaning write you a ticket for running the stop sign.
Right.
That in and of itself is a question. It's proof that you were harassed or whatever because your initial stop wasn't recorded.
So best case scenario, then he writes you the ticket for what he found and initially the traffic stop.
Yeah, exactly. And then they have to be able to articulate it in court. But then to get this, Kevin, all you got to do, a good lawyer, all I have to do was, well, I'm going to subpoena your body cam as well as your vehicle cam, and then the GPS system on your vehicle. It used to be a time, Kevin, man, you can go and I wouldn't say mess off, but you could hang out at the Waffle House or the Huddle House for probably an hour and nobody know what you're doing, where you're doing, as long as you're in the area to respond.
Yeah.
But now, if you stay at any one place too long, they have that GPS system on your vehicle, that tracking device, that can tell them how long you've been in that one spot.
So we're policing the police now.
Well, yeah, and it's good for the officers too, because suppose an officer gets out on somebody, right? You pull somebody over, but they blow you away or they injure you real bad, and they can look at it and say, well, this officer's been on this call too long. We need to check on him. And so they can easily track your vehicle and find where you are, at any given time. So it works both ways. It's good for the officers, but it's also good for the patrons or the citizens.
One more thing. If the police stop you, do they have I thought the Supreme Court said they didn't have a right to ask the passenger for ID. Is that not true?
No, you don't have. Well, you can, but it's optional for the passenger. The problem with our citizens and everything is that they don't know the law. But no, your passenger, there's just no reason unless you receive a call where there was two black males or two white males were seen or accused of robbery or any type of mischief or what have you. Then you would probably want to get both of the parties' ID. But if you're just making a regular traffic stop, no, you won't do it unless the passengers become belligerent and appears to be disheveled. You can make a case on where you want to find out who that person is for your safety, because for all you know, that person can be, escape con or a mental health person or whatever the case is. It could be any of those things. But no, you have to articulate why you doing it. But I used to do it occasionally. I would, especially if I got a call or a bolo, which is be on the lookout. Of two males or two females fleeing, or allegedly they fit the description of assailants that was in the area. Yeah, you can articulate that on paper, and you'll be just fine. But it's all about how you write it up. And some of your officers, especially your rookies, can be a little lazy, and and that can make or break a case.
Interesting. Well, Marty, appreciate you calling, man. Next, we're gonna start this full time next week. Well, 3 days a week. I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday,
Right.
And then we're gonna do Thursday and Friday. Gonna be repeats of something. So I'm trying to line up some guests and stuff like that. So we'll be all right. All right.
Well, let me know, Kevin. Now, I thought you were going to be in the morning, so you're still in the evenings?
No, I heard somebody whining today on another radio show, so I thought I'd come in and get my own wine.
Okay.
But it's gonna be in the morning.
To be perusing.
Yeah,
I happened to be perusing Facebook, and I saw you on there. I said, I saw live. Normally it's recorded, but I said, let me go ahead and check on Kevin.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it from like 7 to 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just let me know. I'll do what I can to help promote it.
Appreciate it. All right.
Anytime, brother.
All right.
All right.
All righty then. Well, I guess I gotta go now because it's always interesting talking to police officers or the former police officers because you see so much stuff on Facebook and TikTok. Somebody gonna get killed for thinking they know the law that they don't know. So I want to be sure. I must admit though, the police stop you. It does seem like to me that they shouldn't uh, be able to threaten you with, well, I'm going to get the canine and we're going to check your car. I mean, if you don't have a reason to check my car, so you're just trying to make a reason to check my car. I don't know. I think that's kind of wrong. That's kind of like bullying. That's police bullying. Oh, so you ain't gonna let me check your car? Well, I'm going to get the canine. We're going to go, And sometimes there are ingredients in certain medicines that that can make these dogs sniff something that's not there. But next thing you know, but you got your car open, and now anything they find at that point is part of the search. So I don't know. I just gotta you ask me. If I say no, then leave it alone. If I don't give you permission to search my car, then just leave my car alone. Of course, I don't really have nothing in my car, but how it goes. Anyway, well, listen, time's up. Got to go. And again, the whole show today was about all the whining that people do about Montgomery. And Jerry, of course, had his thing, and Marty, a former police officer, had his position on these kinds of things. And so do some of you. So, but I got to go because I'm hungry. I burned up a chicken last night. Yeah, put the chicken in the oven, and I forgot the chicken was in the oven until there was smoke in the kitchen. And I was wondering where that smoke was coming from. And and evidently it came from my own kitchen. I thought it was coming from upstairs. I started to run out the front door and go upstairs and help. Then by the time I got halfway out, I figured that was my kitchen. So I'm going to try not to do that. And I turned the timer. Siri let me down because I said, Siri, make me a timer for 1 hour and 15 minutes. I turned it on 375 degrees, 1 hour and 15 minutes. And you know what? I burned it up. I'm sorry.
1 hour, 21 minutes.
No. You should have did that yesterday, Siri, when I was when I asked you to, and you didn't do it. So I'm just saying, I don't need you to do it now. The chicken's already burned up. See, that's my problem with Siri. Yeah, chicken's already burned up. No sense in timing it now because it's over. Okay. Looks like it looks bad. I ain't burned off the wings on the chicken, and I put it in a plastic bag. I thought nothing was gonna burn in a plastic bag. Come on, I mean, But anyway, so much for that. Anyway, see you guys later on. I appreciate you. A couple of people saying it. So Monday we're gonna start from 7 in the morning till 9. That's what we're gonna try to do 3 days a week, and we're gonna see if we can get some folks to come on and talk to us and stuff like that. Come here to my precious studio, or we can do it on the phone or on Zoom or whatever we can do there. But we're going to try to get a couple. And I want to talk a lot about Montgomery. I mean, I don't have anything to do with what's going on in Washington D.C. I just don't have an idea. Don't care for the most part. Don't affect my check. So I gotta go. So y'all hang loose. I gotta play this song. It's pretty cool. So Friday, my son's going to leaving on in a couple of days, and at first I thought it wasn't going to bother me at all, but it does bother me just a little. I gotta find something to do with my time. Yeah. Now, if Trump don't start nothing with Ukraine, I'm good. But that's what the military is for, is to protect his country. And Hedgepet. Anybody see the news where he made them take a honoring a gay person? Now, let me stop. Hold on. Let me. You see, I know I got to go, but I don't have a problem with a gay person being honored especially if he was in legally and he did something that was beyond the call of duty. His sexuality has got nothing to do, but I do understand the climate that it brings about in the military. You are asking people to believe things that are not true. You're asking us to accept things that we've been taught our whole life that's wrong. But if that person, male or female, saved somebody's life, and he just, I don't have a problem with naming the ship. God will handle his soul, but we evidently what they're doing, and I'm not with the I'm not with the sec def on this one, because I just think if somebody does something worthy of that kind of recognition, what they do, who they do it to, if he's already in the military, that's on them. But I do think that we don't need this transgender thing is wearing everybody out. It's wearing everybody out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is your chromosomes that determine what sex you are, not your brain. Okay, we know what you are the minute you come out your mama's womb. We know. Okay, now my thing, we ought to just make a rule in the United States military. You are what's on your birth certificate. Leave it alone. Now, when you get off work and you want to go to Sally and Pally's, hey, whatever, that's on you. But I'm not with the sec def on this one. If this individual performed a duty that was way beyond the call of duty, I think there's nothing wrong with honoring his service, and to whoever he does it to, who does it to him, that's between him. But we ought to be quiet about it. Okay, I'm like Clinton said, don't ask, don't tell. Okay, I don't. You don't change yourself. You don't change your sex in your brain. You change it by what's in between your legs. And if you don't know what's in there, you need to go to a doctor. Okay? I'm just saying. Anyway, my time's up. Thank you for yours. So if we're going to complain about Montgomery, which what started this whole thing off, then maybe we ought to come up with some suggestions for it. Anybody got in? Well, leave them here, write it under the page, whatever the case may be. Suggestions for crime. Suggestions for economic impact. Suggestion to make this a more beautiful city. All right? So, I'll give it to the mayor. Y'all have a good day. See ya. What do you want to be?